Yeah, it's funny. I remember hearing Rowan Atkinson? Yeah, Rowan
Atkinson. Yeah.
Saying that when people meet him, they're kind of disappointed because they expect him to be like Mr. Bean. And I thought, people must be really disappointed when they meet you, because no matter how great Jonathan Roumie is, he's hardly our blessed Lord.
Hardly. Yeah. So I remind people, I kind of try to prep people whenever I do interviews or go online, and just remind people of how terribly human and flawed that I am. And to lower your expectations and standards if you ever happen to run into me on the street, because you will be thoroughly disappointed. So,
well, I had an experience that I think most people, or many people, had when they heard about this show, right? So I was upstairs doing something, and my son ran up and he went, "Hey, Mum's watching this like Bible video thing on TV. You want to come and watch it with us?" And my immediate reaction was, "Not really." Like,
yeah.
I'm sure it's not terribly good, and quite frankly, like, even if it's like biblically accurate, like accurate to the story of the New Testament, I'm sure the art's not terribly good. And I didn't say any of those things, but I was thinking those things. I guess I walked down, I sat down, and I was like, oh my goodness. This is actually good. Not just like, this is great for a Christian production, but like, no, this is high end. And when you came on the screen, I mean, I was okay, I'm not disappointed by this, but as soon as I see Jesus, I'm bound to be disappointed, because there's no way. But I have to say, in all sincerity, when I saw you, I was like, oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Like, you did such a great job. And kudos to you for not doing the Jesus face or the Jesus voice. You know, I used to work for a ministry where we would put on these
You
plays
mean the British
for
voice?
He said, hello, the kind of dreamy, otherworldly, far-sighted thing.
Yeah,
You're just a dude, and it's really great.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, I started working with Dallas Jenkins, the creator of the show. It'll be 8 years this spring, and he at the time was directing films for his church's like media arm that would. Whenever they had a Christmas service or an Easter service, they would produce different projects and films. And so he did a film one Easter called The Two Thieves, which you can find on Amazon, where he cast me as Jesus. And that sort of began our working relationship. And initially they were thinking about having it done in, doing the whole thing in Hebrew. And then we realized that was going to be quite a task. Actually, for me, it wouldn't have been that big a deal because I had 5 lines in the whole thing. So, but for everybody else, it would have been quite, it was a 25-minute film. So they realized that wasn't probably going to happen. And so I offered that what I would at least do, since we were going to transliterate it and speak English with accents, I wanted to approach, and I had played Jesus once before, and I did this, and I figured this would be my sort of thing, is to give Jesus an appropriately regional dialect of, Middle Eastern, and that's, I basically pulled from 2 people, my aunt who's from, my uncle's wife, my aunt who's from Palestine, and my father is from Egypt. So she's got a very thick accent. My dad's got a lighter accent. So I sort of blend the 2, and that's kind of what became where the accent came from. And then that became the standard for the casts moving forward. They would send clips of my work from those church films with Dallas to the cast members to say, hey, use this as a baseline, which kind of keeps us all, within the ballpark. And then when I got to meet Shahar Isaac, who plays Simon Peter, I realized that like the intonations and how he pronounces the words, I'm like, oh, and he's from Israel. I'm like, oh, okay, this is like, he sounds like my aunt. He sounds like we're not too far off from each other. So it was nice to kind of have a living example of like, yeah, that's on, that works, and it's still consistent and like cool. So that's sort of where we went with it,
Thank you for watching this clip. You can click here to watch the full episode. And I want to say a big thanks to our sponsors and to our amazing patrons for making all of this possible. Please do us a favor before you go. Click that subscribe button and then the bell. And that way YouTube will be forced to let you know every time we put out a new episode.